three. This is Chilka. And a three by Ranzino, rimming it out. There's another offensive board for Reed.
I think North Carolina's finding right out. Just shoot the ball. Get it up there. Reed will get it. That's just like a pass right there. If he misses it, they're going to get it again.
And the left-handed Ranzino Smith finally drains the three, and Carolina's up 9-2 after 4.5 minutes.
Well, that's what North Texas wanted to avoid, to get behind early. They'd like to stay close. If they could have made their layups, they would have been close.
Ricky Robertson, nice left-handed drive by the junior from Dallas. And it's 9-4 now.
Well, they like him, and I think they've had a little tough time settling on their guards. And right now, this 11 straight ball games they've won, they're set with Hunter and Albertson, as you indicated, and that's helped them.
Fox passed up an open two. Lebo takes an open three, and there's another rebound by Reed. They're going to get a foul inside. This time they get Reed pushing off. It could have been Wendell Williams' third instead of his J.R. Reed's first. We'll see it again.
Well, you can compare these two players. Now, Morgan there at North Texas is 6'7" and about 235, but Reed at 6'9", maybe 6'10".
All right, a timeout on the floor with the score. North Carolina 9, North Texas State 4.
This year, the world's automakers will offer.
The NCAA is conducting research during this basketball tournament. We'd like your participation. Would you like to see more women's basketball on television? If your answer is yes, please dial the number you see, 900-260-2221. If your answer is no, dial 900-260-2222. We'd like your help during the NCAA basketball tournament. Ted Robinson, Bruce Larson, we're back in Salt Lake City, Utah. We've played almost just about over 5 minutes. Neither team shooting very well, though.
Well, you're right, but North Carolina State's getting so many extra shots, with Reed especially. He's been impressive on the boards. North Carolina's already gone 9 deep as far as substitutions concerned, and North Texas State has made 1 substitution. No, they have not made any. Hunter's still in there.
Here comes Deion Hunter for North Texas State. North Carolina 9, North Texas State 4. Here's Worrell. The jumper is good from the corner by William Smith. 6'3" junior from Mansfield, Texas. Only a 34% shooter during the season.
Well, they still feel he's one of their better shooters, and he's been a starter for them up until this last half of the season when Hunter and Robertson have taken over the starting spot.
Scott Williams calmly drains the 15-footer.
There's a guy, 6'10", out there on the perimeter. They feel he's a good shooter. And Reed shoots well from 15 feet. So there's 2 big guys that shoot well outside as well as inside.
It's hard for 2 people that big to live together inside, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. You know, you talk about a strong forward and a postman. I suppose their positions are really similar, and they can live together.
Williams missing, Scott Williams missing, and Ronnie Morgan tracks it down for North Texas State.
But I'm sure North Carolina feels that Fox and Chilcott are better inside, and Williams can play that wing for them, so that gives them some versatility.
Wendell Williams off the Worrell. Worrell still has not made a shot yet, and the rebound Scott Williams.
And I think he has to have a good ball game for North Texas to really be a factor. He's been averaging 20 a game for them, player of the year in that league.
21 is King Rice, the freshman guard out of Binghamton, New York. He's on for the first time. There's your score. We played 6.5 minutes in Salt Lake City.
Well, Rice has some great high school credentials. They feel he's going to be a real good point guard for them. Maybe next year he'll assume that point guard position and let Lebo return to that off-guard spot.
Steal here for the Mean Green Eagles. Back comes Deion Hunter. And he pops, rimming it out. That was a 2, but it's rebounded by Scott Williams. Here's Rice. Offense has been his problem as a freshman. Of course, he missed a tough layup attempt. They could have tied that ACC championship game against Duke in the final second. Foul now on the shot attempt by Scott Williams. Foul is on North Texas's Tony Worrell, and that's his second as we see North Texas bringing back in the A squad here. Reed and Lebo and Madden and Bucknall all come back in, along with King Rice. Hunter and Wendell Williams both sitting for North Texas State.
Woody Henry is the only reserve, frontline reserve they have. Number 34, he's 6'8", 230, so he brings a little muscle that the Mean Green need badly against this team right here.
J.R. Reed against Ronnie Morgan. He's got more
Morgan weighed 278 pounds when he came to North Texas State. He's down to 235. They think he can play at that weight.
They call him Charles Barkley Jr. in Denton, Texas. This is David Whittington, a 6'8" senior from Richardson, Texas. Whirls 3 misses. And it goes off Whittington out of bounds. It'll be Carolina ball. Carolina's front court already. Scott Williams has 5 rebounds and J.R. Reed 4. We've only played about 7.5 minutes. 11-6, Tar Heels lead. A couple of finals from other regionals that will pass on to you. Auburn beat Bradley 90-86 in their first round game today, and Purdue has defeated Fairleigh Dickinson 94-79. Lebo's miss, rebounded by Worrell. First, if Carolina was shooting the ball, they'd have this thing spread out by now.
Well, right. They're coming off their poorest shooting game against Duke, 33%. Up till then, they're the #2 shooting team in the nation at 54%. So very good shooting team. And that's been a characteristic of North Carolina team. They've always been able to score. But they're not doing really a great job of shooting right here. Inside is the only place they score. Right there.
Reed trapped under the plane of the backboard, kicks it out. This is Bucknall. Open 3 is good. Steve Bucknall. And it's now 14-6 Tar Heels.
See, we're 9 minutes into the half, and really a slow-moving game. Both teams. North Carolina can play an up-tempo game too. They wouldn't mind running with the mean green, but I still think that's the best chance for North Texas State is to get the tempo going, get some quick shots.
Keedy Gully, freshman out of Dallas, there missing the shot as the Tar Heels bring Ranzino Smith back in.
Gully's kind of designated three-point shooter for. They've tried everybody, and they still haven't been able to come up with any three-point shots as yet.
There's Worrell trying again, missing again, and Bucknall rebounds. Well, Tony Worrell off to a tough start in his first NCAA tournament game. Ranzino Smith for 2, and the Tar Heels now have a 10-point lead. 16-6 North Carolina.
Ranzino Smith's been in the program for 4 years. Been a starter, been great off the bench. Just does everything he needs to do to help the Carolina program.
Morgan missing, and Lebo has the outlet 3-on-2 with Reed in the middle. Now Ranzino will pop, but he got fouled on the trail. Trail man fouling Ranzino Smith. Heels have now scored 7 straight, and Ranzino Smith will get a couple of foul shots here. William Smith commits the foul for North Texas State.
Well, I think another great thing about North Carolina is their big guys can really run the court, and I think you have to be able to do that to be a contender in the NCAA championships. And Reed and Williams can both run the court. Reed did not make a good pass to Ranzino Smith on that break. They had 3-on-1 and really didn't end up with a very good shot.
Well, Ranzino Smith now to the line where you see that great percentage this year. He only missed 3 foul shots all year, 45 out of 48. Deion Hunter is back in for North Texas, replacing Gully.
Well, he should rank nationally, but he doesn't have enough free throws to do that. Now, Lebo's ranked nationally about 20th, so both their guards shoot very well from the free throw line.
I jinxed it.
You did?
I did. Whittington clears it. 17-6 as the Heels now scored 8 straight points. North Texas gone a long time here without a point. Scored only 3 baskets in the first half of the first half. Tim Duryea, number 20, is in the game. And Hunter hits the long jump. Deion Hunter gets the Eagles 2 more, and it's 17-8.
He's probably their best outside shooter. He and Worrell, who plays that wing for them. But Worrell's off to a horrible start here in this ballgame.
Boy, Reed, what agility. 256 pounds. Moves out there like it's no problem.
Oh, really a body, an all-pro body. If you're going to classify bodies for professional players, he'd fit right in. And, of course, there's been talk that will he go at the end of this season.
Dean Smith answered that yesterday again as Ranzino Smith picks up the easy 2, and it's now 21-8, Carolina. Dean Smith said yesterday, for everybody out here, he said, no, Mr. and Mrs. Reed say that JR will stay. Jimmy Gales, unhappy with what he sees, takes a timeout. We have timeout on the court with the score now. The North Carolina Tar Heels 21, North Texas State 8. This telecast is presented by authority of the NCAA. Any use of this program without written consent is prohibited. Announcers for this program have been approved and contracted by NCAA Productions. You like that little heel like that painted right on your cheek. First, you'd look good like that.
Yeah, you'd have to put it on your left cheek.
North Texas State just not in the ball game with that shooting.
No, they're not. And Worrell, their great player, really hasn't contributed. Here's North Carolina with a press. This might be North Carolina's starting lineup for next year right here. All underclassmen.
That's right. And they force a turnover on the inbounds. The Heels have also out-rebounded the Green Eagles 16-7 thus far. So it's all Carolina. King Rice. The only thing the Carolina people say they'd like to see him do is be able to hit that open shot, and then he really be set as a player. Good defensively for a freshman, they say. Better than expectations. Here's the Green Eagles back on a turnover. Long three is good. Deion Hunter. That's the three-pointer.
He's been carrying the load for the Mean Green. If he can keep him going here, and I'm sure they're hopeful that Worrell will pick up the pace and contribute some.
21-11. Reed. Easy for J.R. Reed.
Nice jump hook, a little unorthodox hook shot. Don't see much around the country. I think he patterns it. I see Williams in practice that he works on it also, so I'm sure North Carolina coaches teach some of that.
And Wendell Williams inside with the hook. Reed has 10 points already. Carolina by 10.
Well, North Carolina went into a half-court trap, and the Eagles exploited it for an easy layup.
And missing a turnaround, and it's rebounded by North Texas. Whittington saving it in to Hunter. Durian and Hunter the guards. Worrell, Whittington, and Wendell Williams up front. And Durian, they just throw it up there. Everybody does. Three-point line. Jimmy Gales wasn't kidding. He said, I encourage my kids to shoot it. Bucknall, three. And Whittington rebounds. And boy, Dean, what happens now is the Carolina's starting to play like North Texas, and Dean Smith's really hot about that shot.
I'm sure they know they can get the ball inside and exploit those two big guys. And of course, only one's in there right now, but he probably feels he don't need to be shooting the ball out of that area.
Hunter's quickness, maybe the best weapon thus far for North Texas State. 7:10 to go in the half. 8-point Carolina lead.
Well, that's one area that North Carolina State has an advantage. North Texas State, rather.
No bounce there for Reed, and Worrell rebounds.
With both guards, who have a little quickness advantage over the Carolina guards.
Here's Williams, and he's stripped as he goes up with a shot. Here's King Rice back for the Tar Heels. Lebo open. Lebo's shooting percentage dropped drastically this year. Same as because of all the gimmick defenses. Everywhere he went, they said teams designed defenses to hound him and stop him. And his shooting dropped from 53 last year to just 43% this year.
I think another factor, too, Ted, is that he had to play the point guard. Last year, Kenny Smith, the greatest point guard in the country, he just had to shoot it last year. Now he's got to create, and he's got to shoot it, and he's got to set up his teammates. So he's got much more responsibility than he had.
Another wave of subs coming in for both teams. 26-15, Carolina, 6:11 to go first half.
I think next year, hopefully, if Rice can take over that point guard, then Lebo could go back to his original spot as a shooting guard or an off guard, which is probably his more natural position.
Hunter missing the 9th three that North Texas has tried already. They've made only one. Rangino Smith fouled on the way in. I don't believe he's going to get the basket.
No.
Fouled first by Ricky Robertson.
North Texas State number 10, Ricky Robertson. First foul.
Right in the middle, big 6'10" guy on the break.
North Texas State, we're in the
Probably couldn't foul as far as saving a basket for North Texas State.
It is the 7th for the Mean Green Eagles. You see Keeby Gully back in for North Texas State. One of 3 players on this team that all played for their coach in high school. Jimmy Gales was an assistant at North Texas State for 8 years. Then he left and went to South Oak Cliff High in Dallas for a couple of years before coming back as the head man here, and he has 3 players from South Oak Cliff with him here.
Well, they feel they can survive and build a good program if they can do a good job of recruiting out of that Dallas area where Coach Gales has some contacts. Here's a team that was 11-17 last year with 1 starter returning, Worrell, and they filled in with all these other players, although they've had some guards who had some starting opportunities last year, but nobody a consistent starter. Hunter and Smith and Duryea and Robertson are all new players as far as the starting role is concerned. So they've done a great job putting this club together and run off 11 straight to get them here at the NCAA playoffs.
That's 10 points now for Ranzino Smith and 10 for J.R. Reed. And Tar Heels lead by 13. North Texas has 21. Henry and Choclick, a sophomore from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, for the first time. Setting the screen here for Gully. And trapped in the corner, 5-second count as Duryea got trapped. Or did he get a timeout first? No, they called a timeout before the 5 count. A timeout called by North Texas State. So we have timeout on the floor with North Carolina leading 28-15.
How much longer till we get there?
About 20 minutes. Anti-lock brakes. Internationally patented suspension, uncanny control. Conventional luxury sedans are built to survive accidents. The BMW 528e is built to avoid them.
Let's see if they're okay.
So how long has he had it?
Less than a week. He's already used it twice.
Twice?
He's in the garage right now, looking at it.
Really?
He's wanted one all his life.
You know they last for ages.
Well, you look at this lawn. It's getting out of hand.
Now I ask you, how much can grass grow in 2 days?
Nothing runs like a deer.
Are you up to the challenge? The 7-Up College Basketball Championship Challenge. You could win up to $10,000. Just twist the specially marked caps off bottles of any 7-Up brand. Match the winner's score in the April 4th championship game and you win. Just claim your prize through Western Union. There's over 1 million potential winners. So start saving those caps now, because until the final buzzer, it's anybody's ballgame. Feels so good, 7-Up.
Justice in the world, St. Patrick's Day, the greens would be prevailing, but nope, it's all Carolina blue thus far. 5:49 to go in the first half.
They've done, North Carolina, or North Texas State has done some things they had to do. They've matched them on the boards pretty well, but they really haven't shot well, and they haven't created the turnovers that they felt they needed to do to keep themselves in the ball game.
I'm a little surprised that Carolina's tried as many three-pointers as they have. They've been left open, though, defensively.
Right, and on the break, especially on the early offense or post-break offense, they've been open.
Tony Worrell, his first points of the game, and what a game this is for that young man out of Goldsboro, North Carolina. And he said, just like every boy who grows up in that state, he one time dreamed about being a Tar Heel.
Well, he did, and he's a great player. MVP in the tournament, conference tournament, most valuable player for the year. Good scorer. He's really the only starting senior on that ball club, only returning starter from last year. So he's been the nucleus and the soul of that ball club. He's had a poor start here. Maybe that's on tracking.
Too hard by Rick Fox, and the rebound tips to Morgan. North Texas State on the run. Ricky Robertson. Worrell. And Fox just takes the ball out of his hands as Worrell lost the dribble momentarily.
And I'm not sure if that wasn't a result of some scouting report, because you saw Fox just go after the ball as soon as he put it on the floor.
Good point. That looked exactly right. Reed now has 12, and it's 30-17, North Carolina. It almost looks, watching Fox, Bruce, as if he's forcing Worrell to go right. He took the left away last time and took it away again there.
Sure, Fox is impressive. 6'7". Very quick. So that front line, they're covering Worrell with Fox. They started out with Williams or Bucknell on him a little bit. Bucknell's supposed to be their defender as far as frontline defensive people and perimeter people. But they're so versatile. They've got so many people they can throw at you and so many different kinds of defenses. And if something's not working for you, they can come back with something else.
Hey, gentlemen, we got two. Tony Worrell fouled by Rick Fox. This was the first foul shot of the game for North Texas State. 4:38 to go first half. That's the one thing that Jimmy Gales mentioned yesterday when he ran down his team for us. He said the one thing he'd like to see Worrell do to perhaps play pro ball needs to be a better ball handler. The one part of his game he needs to work on.
He's very quick, runs the floor well. Hasn't shown his ball game he can shoot it, but he's a good perimeter shooter. That's the scouting report on him.
And here comes the press from North Texas, but Carolina ready for this. They worked against this yesterday. About half of their practice.
Well, if they go on from this ball game, they're going to have to be ready for it, especially if they play Loyola.
Ronnie Morgan rebounding Reed's miss. Back comes Petey Gully. Wild shot doesn't go, but he drew the foul. Foul is on Lebo. His first 14 fouls now on the heels.
Well, both Hunter and Roberson have been able to penetrate that aggressive North Carolina Tar Heel defense. Or we'd say kind of soft. Here we see it here. Hunter very quick. Looks like they got some body contact. Just threw it up, though. Good thinking on the part of Hunter. If he's not going to get that decent shot, at least get it away and hope for the foul.
First point for KB Gully. He's one of the three. Gully, Hunter, and Morgan all played for Jimmy Gales in high school in Dallas. 30-20, Heels by 10, and there's a steal. Robertson, the best athlete of the North Texas team, creates the steal.
It's called Gully, Hunter. They're both look-alike. They're from the same mold. Different numbers is about all they got.
Yep. Nice pass, and Morgan missing a layup, but Chocolate follows hard. He can't put it down either. And more than Green Eagles, a couple of good shots there. Here comes Carolina, Ranzino. Oh, there's a pick play by Morgan. The big guy right over the top, stripping Ranzino Smith.
Now they're into the game a little bit more now. The intensity's increased, and they're a little more relaxed, and they're really playing hard.
Worrell hoping to get a foul. Looks at the referee. No call. And back comes Carolina with it. Lebo. Reed fumbles. Saves it. And, oh, Ranzino got that down, but it did the roulette wheel spin and came out. Gully. And Carolina back well on defense. Worrell. On rebound to Reed. He went right into Robertson, but the Tar Heels save it. Lebo gets the two.
Well, that might have been a charging foul. It wasn't Cowell that would have stopped that play, and was an advantage for the Tar Heels.
That's what Jimmy Gales thought. Lebo with 5, 32-20. Tar Heels continuing a pattern of a lot of unforced turnovers that have plagued them this season. By Ricky Robertson for the basket.
Well, North Carolina showed some zone for the first time, and North Texas State penetrated and got an easy basket.
Lebo, Reed. 10-point Carolina lead. 2.5 remaining in the first half. Williams and Reed do a lot of flashing from side to side, more or less in a double low post set. We've got a foul call. Foul call to North Texas State. Gully.
The North Texas State coaches feel they ought to call some of those on the other end. It was a pick foul, but of course it took away the drive from Lebo, so officials have a tendency to call that more than something else that may be a little more physical that doesn't affect the play.
We saw Jimmy Gales there for a moment, Bruce. You know, it's kind of refreshing with all the talk that's been going on here as well as everywhere about seedings and who's playing where and who's seeded where. It's kind of refreshing to see Jimmy Gales. He's just ecstatic to be here. I mean, if they could have played this game at 3 in the morning in Iceland, he would have been ecstatic because this program was on the intensive care list 2 years ago, and now he's in the NCAA.
And this will help his recruiting in the future. And it's a good, tough league they're playing in. The league has changed makeup through the years, but Lamar represented that league a number of years ago in the 80s, won a couple of games in the NCAA, so they got a 5-3 record as a league in the NCAA playoffs. And I think as basketball is paired out around the country, that league will be representative as the seasons come along. North Carolina now in their zone, 2-3.
King Rice replacing Lebo after Lebo made the 2 foul shots. And a forced shot there by Hunter, rebounded by Kevin Med. 2 minutes to go in the half. Carolina by 12.
I think Williams got his hand on that shot also.
Williams puts that one in at the other end, so the Tar Heels now lead by 14 again. 4 points for Scott Williams.
Now a 1-3-1 zone by the Tar Heels.
Big rebound by Morgan, and then Worrell is stripped inside. Ball out of bounds off Worrell's knee. It's Carolina ball.
And Tony Worrell is just having a tough go. He just can't get anything to go, and looks like he's getting bumped and pushed. He's very slender, and he's going against Williams and Reed, 256 and 225, so you know he's taking a little physical pounding in there.
And it's a little different, I'm sure, for Worrell and Morgan. They haven't played against guys like Williams and Reed in their conference a whole lot this year. That ball goes out of bounds off Bucknall, and it will come back to North Texas.
Well, I think that's a point well made. Their schedule is not the national caliber that North Carolina. North Carolina plays 11th toughest schedule in the country, and they have the best record in the country against when you compare tough schedules.
There's the 3 by Hunter.
That was about 3.5.
Morgan, nice battle inside. Morgan up over Rick Fox to get that rebound. Ronnie Morgan is a freshman. They want him tougher, they say. He did a pretty good job in there. Strip ball knocked out of bounds. Carolina keeps it with 54 seconds left in the half. Well, here's what you might call our first upset of the NCAAs. Rhode Island, second in the Atlantic 10 to Temple this year. They beat Missouri today, 87-80.
Now you picked that one up. Here's Madden going to lose the ball in this break. Now he's been starting the last 15 games or so for Carolina. Manzino Smith has been a starter earlier in the year. Now he's coming off the bench and giving them that kind of spark or quick shooting spark that they like to have. Madden is probably not as good a ball handler as Smith, but he's bigger and stronger and a better shooter, maybe.
There he is, Kevin Madden. And he shot 60% from the floor this year, Bruce. He hit it right there.
And he didn't play last year. Tried to work on his grades. He played the year before for the Tar Heels. Average 4.9. It's not that he's inexperienced.
Shot clock was off, but it doesn't matter to the Green Eagles. Robertson missing. And now the Heels will run it down. Jimmy Gale said yesterday the 45-second clock hasn't run out on us once this year. He said, in fact, the 24-second clock hasn't run out on us this year.
I think it was a Loyola coach that said they shoot in a second and a half. Is that right?
Fox, did he beat it? Yes, is it 2 or 3? We'll look for Bill Boba. I think it's a 2-point shot. It is a 2-point shot by Fox. It just beats the buzzer. And that is the end of the first half of our first round West Regional game in Salt Lake City. And the North Carolina Tar Heels had it pretty much their way. They lead at halftime 40-24. We'll be back after this message and a word from your local station. This is an NCAA Productions telecast. Huntsman Center in Salt Lake City. Our halftime score is North Carolina 40, North Texas State 24. Ted Robinson, Bruce Larson back with you in Salt Lake City. We look at the numbers, and it pretty well tells the story, I think, Bruce.
Well, the shooting percentage is right there. Both teams had the same number of shots, 29% for the Mean Green and 45%. Neither team is shooting to their season averages. Free throws, we haven't been on the free throw line much. Both teams are shooting well from the line. 3-point shots, we see the difference there. 3 for 9, 33% for North Carolina, 1 for 12 for North Texas State, and they really relied on the three-pointer during the year, so that's been a factor for them. Rebounds, pretty even. Thought going into the game that North Texas would have to stay close on the boards, and they've done that. Turnovers, that's an area where we thought North Texas State would have to create more turnovers than they have. That's only 7. So here comes the big difference in the game right here. Worrell has not scored. 3 points, 2. He's averaging 20. If he can get in the ball game in the second half, that should help. 7 for Hunter, 4 for Williams, Robertson 4, and fouls. Nobody's in foul trouble. Reed, the big scorer, especially early, all inside, 12 points. Smith, 10. Ronzino off the bench. Lebo at 7. And Williams, 6'10", their big outside or inside player, has 4. So the big scoring difference has been inside with Reed.
And Williams and Reed both had 7 rebounds. And let's watch the last shot of the half.
Well, the rebounds are closer. See that? 2 seconds to go. Does he get it off? 1. Up in the air. Release. Oh, couldn't be much closer, and it's good by Fox. 6'7" freshman who has played well for the North Carolina Tar Heels.
Good call by the officials to allow that. He just simultaneous with the expiration of time. All right, North Texas State with the ball as we start the second half. Mean Green and the Tar Heels, they had the same number of shots in the first half, but the quality of shots were a lot different.
Right, they got 13 in the paint here in the first half. Second half, they get one in the paint right away.
But they missed 2. And Reed rebounds. They look to be rushing a lot of shots.
I think so. The big guys, as you commented earlier, said that they haven't played against this size team in their conference consistently, and I think Williams and Reed have made it a little tough on the North Texas State Williams and Morgan. So here's a guy with the ball right here. He just hasn't had the kind of game that he has to have for them to be a contender.
Morgan as he screened the drive by Hunter, but he's called for the charge. So Dion Hunter picking up the charging foul.
Boy, there was the first picture perfect offside defensive help right there by North Carolina. They spent a lot of time in their defense, and here you see it. Watch the weak side come. You can't see his picture now, but right in front. Great job coming all the way from the wing on the weak side to take that charge. Take an easy basket away from North Texas State.
You know, Bruce, for you and I who are centered in the West, it's a treat to get to see North Carolina, to watch them practice yesterday. They don't waste 2 seconds of time in a 1-hour practice.
Well-structured. Dean Smith is the king or the epitome of a great program. Most schools in the NCAA try to emulate that kind of a program. Over the years, unbelievable performance. 14 straight, as you indicated. 7 times in the Final Four. 2 national championships. Smith, one of those. The guy by the name of McGuire, 1957. So they've just been a contender all the time.
Well, now that is exactly what Dean Smith wanted to see in the first half. Patient ball movement resulting in an easy basket for Scott Williams and a foul.
Well, to be a national contender, you have to have strong inside play, and of course, North Carolina has that with Williams and Reed. Good perimeter shooting, be able to run the floor. They can do that. And here you see it here. Here's a guy that's got a nice touch, 6'10", just coming into his own. Sophomore, played a lot as a freshman.
And Morgan rebounds the miss, but now the Tar Heels have their biggest lead, 20 points. And we are about a minute and a half into the second half. Ricky Robertson. Williams spikes that one away.
Well, North Carolina has Smith in there now. Ronzino, he has not been starting, but here you see the block. Williams is a shot blocker for North Carolina. He has 31 this year, I believe. He had 27 last year, so he's increased his pace.
Here's Tony Worrell hitting his first 3-point shot of the game. 6 points overall. 44-27.
He could still come on track and have a good half for
3 points. And Ronzino answers right back for North Carolina. 13 now for Ronzino Smith. Carolina got here yesterday. They had classes Tuesday night, so they flew in yesterday morning, came right to this gym to practice. There's Choplin starting the second half for North Texas, missing, but they get a second shot. It's Dion Hunter. That's a 3-pointer.
Well, Hunter and Worrell are their 2 3-point shooters, and early in this first half, Worrell's come up with 1 and Hunter's come up with 1, so that could help get them back in there quickly.
What they have to do, obviously, they've got to stop Carolina at this end of the floor. That's going to be a tough task.
You're right. And the reason so tough is the great inside game they have.
Oh, great move by Reed. Well, that was He took Ronnie Morgan to school there.
Well, you can see that North Carolina spends a lot of time on post play, or step moves as we call them, and Reed made a great step on a crossover and one ball on the floor, and easy basket.
Lebo, quick hand, just flicked in, knocked the ball away from Ricky Robertson, and Robertson fouls his second.
Offensive state number 10, Ricky Robertson. Second
Much Lebo, left hand right in there. Creates the turnover and a foul.
good, smart player, son of a coach, so has a great background, good leader, fits the mold of the great North Carolina guards through the years. Maybe doesn't have the great quickness, but great leadership and enough quickness to get the job done.
And much like a guy you know well, Bruce, Steve Kerr, Lebo, even though he's playing the point this year, very careful with the ball. In 17 ACC games this year, only 28 turnovers, only 1.5 per game. A lot of assists.
You know, that's not very many, but when you compare him to Steve Kerr, Kerr has only 1 a game. And so 2 great ball handlers. I'd say he's quicker than Kerr. You don't have to be very quick to be quicker than Kerr. Same kind of leadership. Maybe not as good an outside shooter as Steve Kerr if we want to make comparisons.
But a good outside shooter. Worrell missing the shot. The Tar Heels back, leading by 21. 16-18 to play. Old Jimmy Gales, boy, he took over in Denton. They were drawing about 300 people a game. They had 4,700 back in their pit to see them win the Southland Conference tournament. They beat Northeast Louisiana, a team that everyone had picked to win it before the season. North Texas State was 2-9 at one time this year. Things look bad, but they rallied to go 17-12. But they're staring strongly at the end of their season here today as they're just running into a powerhouse in North Carolina. Reed now with 18. Long rebound, Ronnie Morgan. She'll put by Choplik, and there's a nice big foul.
That's Worrell. Now he's starting to play this second half. He's become a factor. Great follow. You can see some of the athletic skill that he has. That's why people are so very high on his basketball skills. 6'7", about 205, very quick. Now they're playing Madden at that forward spot where they play Bucknell, so he's very versatile.
That was now Worrell. I don't know if they're trying to take his left away again because Madden was playing him all the left side, trying to force him right.
He didn't get any help, but that's what he was trying to do because he just went right by him. Much quicker than Madden. That's kind of a mismatch right there. Madden playing that small forward now for North Carolina. He started the game with a big guard.
Carolina's ball coming back. That brings us to a timeout. 14:44 remaining in the ball game in Salt Lake City, and we on the court with the score. North Carolina 55, North Texas State 34.
Announcing the sale of the century and Skyhawk. Salover Buick is slashing prices on 1988 Skyhawks and Centuries. Amazing savings. A sleek Skyhawk is yours for only $99.95, or drive away a Century for $11,995. Both loaded with options, both great buys. But hurry, the sale of the Century and Skyhawk ends March 31st. Get more for your money today at Salover Buick, downtown Billings.
Viva makes great tasting cottage cheese and milk. We love them. In fact, Viva tastes so fresh and creamy, nobody realizes that it's low fat. And that's a good thing, because if some people knew Viva was low fat, they'd never even try it.
Viva low fat cottage cheese.
You bet.
Also try new Viva Extra Calcium Milk. Viva, great taste that's low fat.
Some people use alcohol and other drugs because they think it's the best way to fit in. But drinking too much or taking drugs make those people stand out. They look and act foolish. Think about it. You probably don't have much respect for people who deliberately make fools of themselves. I think that's a pretty good reason to leave that stuff alone. After all, stupidity never made anyone popular.
This message furnished by the
Along with Bruce Larson, Ted Robinson in Salt Lake City. There's your score. Carolina up easily on North Texas State. And as the game has gone along, Carolina's shooting has righted itself, and that is why they've opened up this lead. Carolina's made 7 of 8 shots in this half thus far.
Well, that's a characteristic of their basketball team, although they have not been shooting well of late. There's the guy that helps that percentage right there. He shoots 61 himself.
And Reed is fouled inside by Whittington, 34 of North Texas State, which is his first foul.
I think what North Texas State has done this half so far is really dropped what we call drop defense. Of course, that has opened up the outside perimeter, and North Carolina has some people who can shoot out there. They've been a little better outside in the first half. But I'm impressed with Reed and the quick moves he has, the step moves he has inside.
Pete Chilcutt, freshman, Utah, Alabama.
He started earlier for the North Carolina Tar Heels. Had a heck of a game against Syracuse in that opener in that tip-off classic. Unbelievable. 13 points and 14 rebounds.
And the drive, Hunter's layup rolls around and out, but Whittington follows. Nice bounce inside, but Morgan fumbles it. Now Hunter for 3.
He's got to quit shooting those layups. He missed 3 of them. If he could have capitalized on his layups with the 3-pointers he's been hitting, he'd have a great, great night.
13 now for Hunter. He's the high man for North Texas State. Ranzino Smith, way short. Another offensive rebound put back by Bucknall and by Chilcutt. And another chance. And 4 shots, no points, and a rebound by Smith of the North Texas State.
Chilcutt's 225 pounds. He's a redshirt freshman.
It's not exactly like Dean Smith's cover is bare, is it?
No.
It's pretty nice to put the second team in practice. Look at the guys he's got. William Smith foul on his drive to the basket. And that'll be on J.R. Reed, his second.
And you still look and watch. Now, we've seen some very quick moves by North Texas. Every once in a while, Hunter or Robertson, Gully have been able to break down that defense. Here's the offensive board work of North Carolina. Didn't pay off for them. Chilcutt again and again.
Hey, man, we got to do 4 shots before North Texas can finally grab a rebound. Now Smith at the other end shoots 2. 73% foul shooting. Lebo back in for Carolina, replacing Smith. Now, if Carolina survives this game, they'll need to win 1 more to make it to the final 16 for the 8th straight year. Nobody else has done that. But that 1 more win is going to be a tough one.
And I think they're 14 straight. Beat UCLA, didn't it? 13 was UCLA was a record of 13, so they've really got some great
14th straight appearance in the tournament. Reed fumbles inside, and the Green Eagles just turn it over right back to Carolina. At first, it's almost like North Texas is got to turn the game. They got to turn the turntable up to 33 and a third to 45 to play with Carolina, and that's what's getting them in trouble.
Well, I think they had to play at a higher level. They just, it's not that it isn't possible, but North Carolina probably had to just play a normal game and they'd be successful.
Reed's having a day inside. 22 points and close to double figures in rebounds. And of course, Reed had that great game when they beat Notre Dame in the NCAAs last year. He had 31. Morgan inside is fouled. They made a nice move there.
He did, didn't they? He just had a tough time. If they could have shot a decent percentage of lay-ins, that the score would be much, much closer than it is. We can't say they haven't gotten the ball inside. Great drive in here on the little man. Again, a little tough off the board. He's missed 3 of those in the ball.
Now watch Morgan. Nice move there. Got Reed up in the air, and that was the death knell for Reed. His second foul, or excuse me, that's King Rice's foul. King Rice's first foul.
This guy was a McDonald's All-American in high school. Most improved player in the conference. Voted the outstanding newcomer in the conference this year. As a freshman, made the all-conference first team, so he's got a great future ahead of him. If they can keep his weight down.
There's his season average, but only 3 points today for Ronnie Morgan. And the loose ball run down nicely by Rice.
Now, Morgan and Worrell have been carrying this ball for all year, and they haven't had the kind of games they needed to have to carry them through this kind of competition.
12-18 remaining. Carolina by 19. Lebo in traffic, and let's see what they call here. Charging foul on Lebo. His second.
Big Dave Whittingham picked that up. We can see it on the baseline here.
13 foul, North Carolina. Back in.
Good defensive. Taking the charge. So as we look at North Carolina, coaches have indicated that we talked to that maybe their ball handling and the turnovers have been kind of a bugaboo through the years. North Carolina's been a very good ball handling team. This year they haven't. That's probably the one weakness of the ball team.
Gully's pass turned over. Here's Carolina with it. Dean Smith had a funny line about not playing in Chapel Hill. If they had won that game Sunday over Duke, they would have played on their home court. Instead, Duke is, as Rice has the open three, and that's what they want. So Carolina wants to see Rice do bury that shot. But Dean Smith said, it's okay, we had the carpeting change from Carolina blue to royal blue. This is Duke's color. Just so they feel at home.
Well, Duke ought to feel at home. They beat North Carolina 3 times, beat them at home by 1.
And Bucknall with the layup.
And beat them by 4, and then beat them by 15. So Duke, very, very good basketball team, had the chance to go a long way in the NCAA playoffs as well.
5 points for Bucknall. Carolina back out to a 24-point edge now. And Rice reaching in. So they call for the foul there. Trying to start it back the other way. He doesn't even look like a freshman. You look at King Rice, Bruce, and my goodness, what he carries himself, his presence on the court. He's a lot older than 18.
He's a great high school player, comes with great credentials, and I'm sure before he finishes his career at North Carolina, he'll be fit into the mold of great North Carolina players, especially on the guard line. He's got that quickness that they probably need on the guard line right now. This tournament experience is really going to be beneficial to him next year.
Rice with his second foul, and Whittington is the shooter.
I think North Carolina signed one of the top 5 players in the country also, 6'9". Is his name Williams also? Out of that area? And they've got everybody back. Angelo Smith, the only real senior.
2 foul shots for Whittington, and now Wendell Williams back in for North Texas State, replaces Whittington.
The thing about North Carolina, both Reed and Williams are good ball handlers for guys 6'10", so that helps them against tough pressure when they have trouble like this.
And Ricky Robertson draws the foul from Reed. So how about that? The big guys handle the ball, get it across, and the point guard turns it over.
I think they'd like to reverse that a little bit. But I think that gives them some versatility, too, you know. And people have indicated, well, ball handling is kind of the weakness they have. If they can utilize their big men against these teams that are going to pressure them, I think teams that are going to beat North Carolina have to pressure and create some turnovers with those guards. Temple created 29 turnovers, and that was their worst loss of the year. Vanderbilt, Wake Forest, Temple outside of Duke, those are their only losses.
In fairness to Carolina, that Temple game was the 3rd game in 4 days. They played conference games leading into that one.
Well, I think it was a bigger game for Temple than it was for North Carolina.
Well, Temple had a chance to prepare. Ricky Robertson now with 6 points. 10:54 to play. Mean Green trying to press, but here's Lebo with Fox. Oh, and Fox couldn't hang on. And Robertson is hammered the other way. Scott Williams picking up his second foul. That's going to be 6 now on the Tar Heels, 4 on North Texas.
16 fouls.
There have not been a lot of fouls in this ball game. It's not as physical as it was earlier, although it's a little more up and down right now. It's pretty tough to get through those trees. Williams and Reed, those smaller guards from North Texas, they've been able to penetrate, but it's been tough for them to convert when they get through that penetration.
Yeah, one thing to say for North Texas, they have been fearless. I mean, they're taking it right there. They're trying to play the game. Jimmy Gale said, he's been telling his kids all week, we're not, don't be in awe of anyone.
I think they've been able to do that probably against teams in their league. And I'm sure they got some big people in their league, but probably not a team with as many big people as a kid like North Carolina has. I'm sure most of those teams in that league maybe have one 6'9" or 6'10" kid, but maybe not 2 or 3.
The other end, Rice missing. And we're going to get a foul on the glass. Well, North Texas State starting to make some hay here on the foul line. They're not really getting any closer, but in the last 4 minutes of play, North Texas has made just one basket. It was a three-pointer, and they made 9 of 10 foul shots.
Well, they've got North Carolina in what we call an open court game, and they don't have to work against 5-on-5 so much. They get a little chance to use their athletic skill. North Texas State has some good athletes. They're as big as the athletes from North Carolina, but they're small and young guards are very, very quick and have been able to penetrate. Worrell has still been very, very quiet. He started out the first part of this half with 2 quick baskets, but now again he's been kind of quiet.
And Morgan misses the front end of a 1-and-1. The foul was on Williams, his third. Carolina now going with Lebo and Ranzino Smith, Chilcutt, Reed, and Bucknall in front. Lebo. The North Texas State fans wanting the charge there, and Reed and Gully collided.
Gully tried to stop and pick up that foul on Reed going down the floor. You used to see that quite a bit a number of years ago in basketball. Now, most of the time, the officials won't give that to that little guy who's taking that charge.
Right. Especially on a situation like midcourt.
To try to discourage it, and also because somebody might get hurt. So, John, you don't see that as much.
Michael Williams, number 33, reports back in for North Texas State.
Worrell was called for the foul there. Kind of moved in just a tad too close. He wasn't stationary. It's 3 fouls now on Tony Worrell. He has 10 points in the game. And here's Ranzino Smith to shoot 2.
I got 32. No, I got 33.
He averaged 11 a game during the year and now has 15 today. Kevin Madden back in. We started to mention earlier that if Carolina hangs on here, their second-round game is not going to be easy. The next game here in Salt Lake City features the only first-round game where 2 top 20 teams from the rankings meet. Wyoming and Loyola Marymount, and that's the winner of that game is who Carolina would get on Saturday if they hang on here. That will be a tough round of 32 games. Three-pointer by William Smith. 66-49 as we go under 10 minutes. Now Chilcutt tracking and a reach-in foul on Wendell Williams. And that's going to be his 4th foul.
That's a pretty big team North Carolina has. Now they got Madden playing guard. He's played both big guard and small forward.
16 fouls.
Jimmy Gale said, I'm not worried about coaching against Dean Smith. I can take him one-on-one. It's J.R. Reed I'm worried about. Well, Reed's giving him cause to worry as we have timeout on the court with North Carolina leading by 17.
At Volkswagen, our engineers believe car and drivers should not merely act, but interact. To them, a Volkswagen isn't a vehicle for the driver, but rather an extension of the driver. Our engineers believe the most important moving part of a Volkswagen is the one behind the wheel. Lease a 1988 Jetta for only $139 a month at your participating Volkswagen dealer.
I heard you got one, Fred. I just had to come over and take a look.
Yeah, wanted one all my life. It's great. Look at the way it's put together. No wonder they last.
Mind if I just, sit behind the wheel? Oh, boy, would I like one of these. Can I take it for a spin?
Well, just in the front yard.
Oh, boy.
Nothing runs like a deer. At Pizza Hut, we make it fast.
We have time for lunch?
We make it hot.
It's gonna be hot, right?
And we make it great.
Hey.
Making it fast, making it hot, giving it everything we've got. Making your style, give me a smile. Slicing the spice and cheese and pleasing. At Pizza Hut, we go all out to make it fast, hot, and delicious.
Making it happen, making your day. Pizza Hut, making it great.
9:59 to play in Salt Lake City. In the East region, back on North Carolina's home court right now. North Carolina, A&T, and Syracuse are tied at 31 at halftime. So Ken Free, who spoke to at halftime, is ecstatic about that. This conference, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference rep.
Well, this has been an even ball game in the first 10-11 minutes of this half. With 16 at halftime, it's 17 now. So the Mean Green have stayed with North Carolina.
You saw how disparate the field goal shooting was. The difference, though, North Texas has made a lot of hay at the foul line in the second half.
Still very aggressive on defense. A little tough for North Carolina to run their offense. Took them a little time to get it in there.
J.R. Reed finally finishes it off, and that now is 24 points for J.R. Reed. William Smith inside to get fouled. Let's see where that's on. It's on
North Texas State number 42, Tony Worrell.
Tony Worrell inside. That's his fourth. So now Worrell and Wendell Williams have 4 fouls apiece. And that puts North Texas over the limit, so we'll go the other way, and Carolina will shoot the 1-and-1.
North Carolina, when you look at their front line, coaches refer to basketball players as bodies, and they have front line bodies. Every player they have in that front line, you know, you need a good big body, and every one of their players has. Some of these teams around the country may have one, but you like to have one body in there. North Carolina has at least 4 when they count Chilcoff coming off the bench, and they did a great job of screening off Worrell. He's so slender and small that he really has to scrap and scramble to get in on the boards, and he's got to run over all those big bodies.
North Texas brings Ronnie Morgan in, replacing Worrell. So Worrell will sit with the 10 points that he's accumulated and 4 personal fouls. Steve Bucknall at the line.
That's 10 below his average. He probably needed to have about a 25-point game for North Texas State to really contend with North Carolina.
Steve Bucknall, and the press guy, they get these, what I want to do with my life, and usually you kind of go through those. But Bucknall says when he's finished playing, you see Scott Williams in to replace him. He wants to be a sportscaster in London, which is where he was born.
But he's not left-handed. I don't know if he can make that.
And they don't play a lot of basketball in London, so I don't know what he's going to sportscast. He's a big cricket fan. Keedy Gully missing. And the tip to King Rice. With their big duo, Williams and Reed, both in the game. They had Lebo open in the back door and didn't see him. Williams putting it down, puts it off his foot, knocks over Williams, and is called for an offensive foul. And that's 4 now on Scott Williams.
Williams is fouled out of 8 ball games for North Carolina this year. He really worked hard. The North Carolina Texas State Williams really got in there. I don't know if he had his whole body in there or not.
Well, he made it look good, boy. That's the key, right?
Very good job. He took him up on the chest. He had his leg way out in front, but his contact was up on the chest. The official gave that to him.
So Scott Williams sitting with 4, replaced by Bucknall right back in the game. 21-point lead for North Carolina. And Wendell Williams gets the roll on his turnaround.
Nice extension on that shot. He hasn't scored a lot for North Texas State through the year. He's a junior, averaging 6'1", but he looked good on that jump shot. Great extension.
The ball slapped away now from Reed, and a foul on Ronnie Morgan, his second.
Number 50, Ronnie Morgan, second foul.
With both teams over the limit at a rather early stage of this half, we'll have a lot of foul shooting down the stretch. Ties a little bit loosened up top now, and I don't know, Jimmy might be running out of tactics here. What do you think?
Well, he might. I'm still impressed with the way they're getting after it, the intensity on defense, and it's probably going to turn into a foul shooting contest right now. North Carolina as a team from the foul line, shooting 73%, so they're good in that area. And even their big guys, Reed, not great, 66, but who might increase or improve that average in this ball game?
They spend so much time, and it's a legend that's been passed down through the years, and you see it, it really hits home. They spend so much time in their practice on foul shots. They'll just break from a drill occasionally, just shoot free throws for a while. Three-pointer missing in by Robertson, but Morgan gets the loose ball. So Ronnie Morgan with the slam, and that's 5 points now for Morgan, who averages 15 a game, 10 for Worrell, who averages 20 a game.
The other thing that's been impressive on Morgan is that he's averaged almost 10 rebounds a game. Anytime you're close to double figures, you're a good rebounder.
North Texas State, we talked about the fact they really haven't seen a lot of teams like this. They only played 2 teams this year that wind up in the NCAAs as Madden makes the basket.
Now there's Madden playing his 3rd position of the night, strong forward position. That's a pretty small North Carolina team now with Madden and Reed in the post spots. Bucknell at the small forward, and now Rice and Lebor playing the guard.
Ball to Carolina. 7:20 to play, and the Heels lead by 21. North Texas State played Baylor and Missouri both early in the year, lost both, and those are the only 2 teams out of the field of 64 that they have played coming into this game.
I think when you compare leagues now, that Southland Conference is 1-13 against NCAA teams that are participating this week in the NCAA tournament, so you can see that they probably don't have the caliber that the major conferences around the country do.
5 fouls now on Wendell Williams of North Texas State, so the 6'7" junior is done for the day. 6 points for Wendell Williams.
Well, each Williams, here comes the other Williams from North Carolina. They're both foul prone, and he's probably going to foul out. He's got 4. In the next 7 minutes, he might have his exit.
So Reed now will shoot a 1-and-1. Reed is now perfect at the line.
He's a good-looking shot. Nice release, backspin. He probably should be a better free throw shooter than his stats would indicate. And he spends a lot of time on the line.
That's now 8 for 8. And 28 points for J.R. Reed. 76-53, Carolina. Worrell. Tony Worrell now with 12. Ball thrown out to midcourt. Chocolate chasing it down for North Texas. Out of bounds it goes, and it will be North Carolina ball. Halftime, Memphis State leading Baylor by a score of 33-30. That game being played in South Bend, Indiana. Here it's all Carolina. 6.5 minutes remaining. First of 4 games here in Salt Lake City today, the first round of the West Regional. His 3rd.
Looked like the under official was going to let it go and call it out of bounds, and the third official on the side stepped in and called kind of a late foul. We were talking about how many times Reed goes to the line. 197 times. Williams 139. That's 100 more than any other North Carolina player. But of course, they're inside people. The only way you're going to handle Reed most of the time is fouling.
You saw those accomplishments for Reed. Keep in mind that he is a sophomore. Shot after making 9 in a row, missing his first one. 77-55 at 6 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. Robertson nice spin inside, but runs into nothing but white shirts. Comes out of it with nothing.
You see the good quickness of North Texas State, but they really haven't been able to convert it. It hasn't really been a factor in the ball game.
I really think we're going to have a foul on Reed here, and that's going to be his 4th. I really think we're seeing, not to be critical, but simply be truthful, of why North Texas State shoots 42%. They don't seem to be able to finish off plays, and they really haven't shot well from the perimeter there.
I think the kind of shots, the penetration and where you're moving the ball around and mixing it around, you know, not really good shots. But I'm sure in their conference, maybe some of those shots they've missed that Morgan and Worrell and Williams have been able to put them back in. So that's a factor for the kind of play.
Plus, you're not seeing a lot of penetration at dish from North Texas today.
Not successful dish. The guards have had to take it and try to shoot it some way.
Oh, the miss there by Morgan on the front end. 5:50 to go, and now Carolina, the only cause for concern would be that Reed and Scott Williams each are playing with 4 fouls. Loose ball. Well, there's 2 more plays that Dean Smith really going to be upset about. Those were 2 more careless ball handling maneuvers. They saved one, can't save the other, and Dean Smith takes timeout. He's not happy. With timeout on the court, 5:38 to play. North Carolina leading 77-55.
Are you up to the challenge? The 7-Up College Basketball Championship Challenge. You could win up to $10,000. Just twist the specially marked caps off bottles of any 7-Up brand. Match the winner's score in the April 4th championship game, and you win. Just claim your prize through Western Union. There's over 1 million potential winners. So start saving those caps now, because until the final buzzer, it's anybody's ball game.
Feels so good, 7-Up.
I'm State Farm Agent Wallace Lewis. I'd like to tell you about the Landrys, a young family who came to State Farm for a life insurance plan. Mike and Madeline had a budget, and they didn't want to hear a lot of life insurance sales talk. So instead of a lot of talking, I did a lot of listening. And we came up with a life insurance plan that fits their needs and their budget too.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Maybe you haven't heard. People who fly United and drive Hertz don't have to lug luggage anymore. Now you can check in your bags when you check in your car. Get United boarding passes and seat assignments right at the Hertz counter. You go straight to the gate while your bags go straight to the plane. If you fly United.
Airlines, please. United.
United Airlines. Rededicated to giving you the service you deserve.
There must be something I haven't heard.
Come fly the friendly skies.
In the on-deck circle in Salt Lake City is the silver or gray-haired gentleman with the sweater on. Churning inside, I imagine, Bruce, is Benny Dees, the Wyoming coach.
I'm sure he's playing a club, Loyola Marymount, that plays different than anybody in the country, and you have to prepare for them. Loyola doesn't have to prepare for Wyoming because they're just going to play the way they want to play. And so the advantage goes to Loyola Marymount, and they're maybe a better team than a lot of people have given credit for as far as their ranking in the nation.
Benny Dees took New Orleans to the NCAA last year, first year at Wyoming, and has the Cowboys here. Morgan gets a second chance and comes it home. Ronnie Morgan. 77-57, 5:15 to play. J.R. Reed, 29 points. It's almost a turnover, but King Rice going to get back and save it for the Heels.
Well, a bad pass by Lebo. You can see the great ball handling ability of Reed, 6'10", 256 pounds. This can play so many positions. He could probably play a small forward if he had to.
I would think, Bruce, though, that again, you know, as the opposition's strength increases throughout this tournament, Carolina's ball handling may be coming into more of a questionable nature. It's going to be more critical.
Well, that's what everybody has said. One way to find out, probably if Loyola would win, they'll find that out in a hurry.
Yes. Yeah. Worrell missing here, 4.5 to play. And of course, I would think Carolina will be the first to tell you after this game that this certainly is far from their most intense effort and far from their best game.
You see a little of the fame of the four corners of North Carolina. They kind of started this and made it very popular. And one reason for maybe the time clock we have in college basketball today.
4 minutes now remaining, and Reed's going to go himself. Nice dish, Scott Williams for the layup.
Good chance to see Reed work with the ball on the floor, and he has some good moves there. I think he can do those kinds of things. He doesn't have to do it for North Carolina, but as you look at his future in the pros, he's going to be a guy that's going to put it on the floor and take some of those big guys to the basket.
10 points now for Scott Williams. Reed has 29, and that is only 2 shy of his career high, which he set against Notre Dame in the NCAAs last year.
I think his high this year is 30. I think he's improved. We haven't seen that much. We get to see him on TV being from the West, but another poor pass by Williams.
And a reach and foul. Ricky Robertson will wind up at the line here with 3:20 remaining.
Number 20, Steve McNall.
Fouls on Bucknall as his first. So Carolina will play the winner of the Wyoming Loyola Marymount game Saturday.
This win will give Carolina 44 and a 22 record in NCAA play. That's third best. UCLA and Kentucky are the two schools that have better records than North Carolina overall. 43 wins, 22 losses.
And J.R. Reed appears to be finished for the afternoon with 29 points. Carolina has shot 68% from the floor in the second half, and they've made 11 of their 13 foul shots in this half. They located the basket, which they had a tough time doing earlier.
Well, I think they had a 68% half earlier in the year, but then they had a 66% game against North Carolina State, so they're capable of shooting in that 70% range every once in a while, especially with their great inside play. That really makes a difference in how well you shoot the basketball.
9 points now for Ricky Robertson. Changes for Carolina. Jeff Denny, number 3 in the game. Rick Fox back in, rebounds the miss. Rick Denny, number 3, is in for the first time. He is a sophomore in rural North Carolina. And here is Ryan Morgan. He left the layup short, and Denny has the rebound.
Boy, we've seen about 5 or 6 by the Mean Green. Just left them a little short early in the ball game. Missing 3 early ones. Kind of hurt them, and they carried that over late into the ball.
And playing the passing lane nicely, Hunter deflects, steals, and lays it in. 79-60 with 2:40 remaining. Deion Hunter has been the Texas State player that I think's been most impressive today.
He has. He's had a great ball game.
15 points. He's only 5'9", a junior.
That's well over his average of 10. He's penetrated. He shot the three-pointer. And if he made a couple of lay-ins, he could have supplemented that scoring effort a little bit.
William Smith on the foul.
I think North Carolina wants to avoid getting into a bad passing situation. Just scrambling here late in this garbage time and throw the ball away. They don't want to get that kind of a habit and have it carry over into their next ball game.
When we next see North Texas State on the basketball court next fall, they'll have a new name. May 15th, the school is changing its name to the University of North Texas. They've got the uniforms already for it, as you can see. They love State off there.
Well, the institution has really grown. Competed against them at Arizona a number of years ago, played them often. At Denton, Texas. I think it's about 24,000 enrollment now.
All right, here comes Carolina. Ball almost thrown away, but Kevin Madden runs it down. Boy, things are getting a little ragged right now.
Still yelling for over and back, but North Texas player got his hand on that down at the other end.
Madden missing and Morgan rebounds as we are under 2 minutes to play in this first round West Regional game in Salt Lake City. Tony Worrell missing. And Dean Smith's second in NCAA tournament victories, only to the great John Wood. Jimmy Gales in his first ever NCAA tournament game, first ever for his school. And that really is that's the great part. You know, we talked so much, and at halftime we heard from so many people about what's great about the NCAA tournament. It's great for the Jimmy Gales and the North Texas State players in the world to get their one and only chance to play a team like a North Carolina.
Right, just that special enthusiasm and the great quality of the tournament and the changes they've made in the tournament through the years. I think now with it's really a national tournament. Not one area has an advantage as far as seeding or players because of the way they send them around the country and try to even up the various regions. It really maintains a lot of national interest. When you get to that Final Four or Final 16, there's really some great interest around the country.
Joe Jenkins, a senior, 6'5", number 35, in for North Carolina. Tim Verrier, a senior, number 20, is in for North Texas State. Verrier, the final moments of his college basketball career. ball will come back into Carolina here with a minute 29 remaining. 79 to 62. North Carolina brings on Rodney Hyatt, a walk-on, 5'8", 140-pound sophomore from Wadesboro, North Carolina.
There'll be a lot of players in and out. Denny, and who hasn't played a lot, and Jenkins. They primarily played with 9 during most of the ball game. And we saw some good depth.
And Hyatt can't get the roll. The Tar Heel fans love this, and Joe Jenkins gets the points back. You know, again, as the tournament progresses, it's highly unlikely these young men will get a chance to play. So it might be their one shot.
Well, that's right. As the competition increases and the teams eliminate themselves, teams will be a little more competitive as you get up to seeds that are more comparative.
In the final minute, 81 to 62, North Carolina. Nice backdoor cut, and Hyatt leads Jeff Denny for the basket. And that's the nice part. You look at the Carolina bench there in the background, and all the starters and the stars who get all the publicity and the clippings were all up and cheering for the guys who work hard, practice, and don't get this chance very often.
Great kickoff. He knew he was going down.
Fox lost control of the ball when he went up. 25 seconds. Tony Worrell. So Tony Worrell in his last game for North Texas State. What a career. He's that 4th leading scorer in school history. And now Dean Smith calls a timeout because he wants to get 2 more players in the game. He takes a timeout just to be able to substitute with 9 seconds remaining in the ball game. So Dean Smith called the timeout, but he refused the huddle. He just wanted to substitute and get in Doug Elston, a freshman from Overland Park, Kansas, and David May, a junior from Greensboro, in the final 10 seconds.
When you call a timeout, you can use as much of it as you want. If you call the timeout.
Number 11, Kiwi Gully.
So Kiwi Gully with a foul, and that Tar Heel team now playing the first game today. They can kind of relax. They'll, I'm sure, shower and sit back and watch. For these young gentlemen, for some of them, it's the last game. Many, though, will be back.
Yeah, but not a lot of seniors, you're right. And so they've built a strong base, and they all have something to go for.
Truly nice people. I want to thank everybody involved at North Texas State and North Carolina.
They'll have good quickness back at the guards. They'll have some good size up front, and if they can supplement that with one who's a great player in Worrell, but he didn't have a great ball game for him here today.
And that's it. So North Carolina has advanced to the second round of the West Region. J.R. Reed with 29 points today, just 2 shy of his career high. And Dean Smith's team, 24 hours after arriving in Salt Lake City, has a rather easy time of it in their first round game. Jimmy Gales now knows what it's like. We'll go back to Denton, Texas, and regroup and try and defend his Southland Conference Championship next year. Our final score is North Carolina 83, North Texas State 65. And we'll return to Salt Lake City right